This is an audio-described version of the Fish and Wildlife Service video, Remembering Attu. Logo of a sun rising over mountains with duck and fish. Voice of Joseph Sasser, 50th Combat Engineers. Video of ocean and archive footage of troops arriving on beach.
Of course, remembering this, that the prediction of the capture or the retaking of Attu was only supposed to take 2 or 3 days, and it lasted for 20 days.
Video of ocean and map of Alaska. In the far west, Alaska's most distant island, Attu. Hands holding a woven basket, home to the Anunga people for thousands of years. Mountain landscape, a National Wildlife Refuge. Rusted wheel on a beach fading to black. And the only World War II land battle fought on North American soil. Pan of rusted metal in a green field, a forgotten war that changed lives forever. Photo of houses, June 7, 1942. Japanese troops raised the imperial flag over the village of Attu. Photos of village children and prisoners. The Attuans were taken to Japan in the fall, where half of the prisoners died during their internment. Waves on a beach with old pier and background of mountains. May 11, 3:30 p.m., 1943. Pan of waves on a dark sand beach. U.S. soldiers landed on this beach, the Southern force sent to recapture Attu. A bloody battle of courage and sacrifice. Black and white image of old artillery monument and plane propeller in the grass. Remembering Attu. Interview with Allan Serrol, Sergeant with the U.S. Army Signal Corps.
It was strictly an infantry matter. And the big job was where the Japanese had already got themselves settled, and they knew where they were, and they were fully prepared with their hand grenades and things of that nature.
Interview with Jeff Williams, Assistant Refuge Manager, Alaska Maritime National Wildlife Refuge.
There's a lot of sacrifice on both these islands by both sides in these really unforgiving conditions of weather. People struggled against this for these very remote locations.
Archival footage of men in boats approaching Attu Island.
For Attu lies but 750 miles from the great Japanese naval base at Paramushiri. With the barrage of a battleship's guns, United States forces move in to drive the Japanese from rocky, fog-bound Attu, strategic island in the Aleutian chain. Troops waiting for the 0 hour. Time to go over the side.
Video of ferns in front of opening to Old Foxhole. From foxholes to rugged ridges, battles raged for nearly 3 weeks. Interview with Jeff Williams and video of waves on beach. 5,890 soldiers killed and wounded.
It was very costly. So for the number of Japanese that were casualties, the number of American casualties was almost as high.
Landscape of valley and mountains. May 29, 3 a.m. Japanese soldiers attacked in a final banzai charge from this valley.
And from there, the Japanese just kept coming up the ravines and kept just stacked on top of each other.
They had grenades wrapped around their forehead or around their chest. It was just a wild situation out there.
Memorial sign, Engineer Hill. This hill was so named in honor of the 50th Engineer Regiment combat, who repulsed the last desperate counterattack launched by the Japanese. Here, early on the morning of 29th May 1943, the bloodiest engagement of the battle was fought. Pan of Green Mountains and Star-Shaped Memorial, where a peace memorial now stands.
When you see people fall, it does something to you. I keep thinking, these people, they either have wives or they have parents. How different are they from us? They're wearing a different uniform.
Landscape of grass, beach, ocean, and a rusted metal relic. Scars and stories remain on a landscape returned. Pan of green mountains and wildflowers to a refuge for wildlife and people. Image of a gosling on a mountainside.
These islands are mostly what it was like 75 years ago, so the historic preservation of the battlefields is really pretty high compared to most battlefields of World War II.
Old Artillery Memorial. The battlefield of Attu endures. Pan of mountains. A place of memory. Pan of an old pier. Part of a monument to sacrifice. Rusted guns on Kiska Island. Quote, Americans will never forget the harrowing sacrifices made in the Pacific by soldiers and civilians. End quote. Image of a wrecked bomber plane. Old shipwreck. Valor in the Pacific National Monument, Alaska, Hawaii, California. 2008 Presidential Proclamation by George W. Bush.
When you learn about some of the history of the area, I think you understand things in context.
Together we remember. Image of ptarmigan standing on rusty relic. We can work to heal. Image of tide pools and ocean. And discover peace. Image of flock of geese in flight. Return to Attu. Image of man, woman, and child. The Attuans taken prisoner during the war were not allowed to return to their island. Image of white church in the mountains. Survivors resettled on other islands in the Aleutians and elsewhere. People on a boat looking at mountains. 75 years later, descendants returned to Attu.
Stepping on Attu, where my mother grew up, that was probably the highlight. I never ever thought I'd do that.
Speaker Geneva Bright. Image of people in tall grass. Interview with Crystal Dushkin. Video of people singing and playing a drum. Image of a white cross with the text, "A new cross now marks the site of the old church." Image of a woman holding a bunch of long grass with an archival image in her hands.
That was so special to be able to have the cross there for the church, for the Attuans, and to pray for them, all those who never got to see their island again.
Pan of green valley with mountains to ocean. Today, Attu holds the stories of sacrifice and healing amid the scars of battle. Video of person walking past a memorial. A place of refuge and remembrance. Partial image of the Attu Peace Memorial with inscription text. Quote, in memory of all those who sacrificed their lives in the islands and seas of the North Pacific during World War II, and in dedication to world peace. End quote. Logo of 75th commemoration of the Battle of Attu with Fish and Wildlife Service logos. Acknowledgements. Interviews Joseph Sasser and Allan Serrol from the National Park Service collection, Geneva Bright and Crystal Dushkin from KUCB, Jeff Williams, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Archival footage courtesy of National Archives, U.S. Navy, and Aleutian Pribilof Islands Association, the Allan G. May Papers, Archives and Special Collections Consortium Library, University of Alaska, MS 25301 13 21 and 03. Alaska State Library, J. Malcolm Greany Photo Collection. Attu Descendants footage courtesy Zoë Sobel, KUCB. Atka photo courtesy Sven Haakanson. Video by Lisa Hupp, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.